Hello again, whiskey friends. Thanks for joining me today, everybody. You know, it has been a few weeks since I have talked some truth to you. So we just got to do it again. We got to talk about another hard truth bottle. Now, for those that haven't tuned in lately, thus far I've done 4 different reviews of hard truth just this year. Each bottle kept impressing me, so I just kept buying the next one, the next one, the next one. So now, here's the 5th one. Let's just keep the truth coming as long as it's as good as this. I'm pretty happy with that. But why don't you stick around with this one? Because this one is unique compared to those ryes that I reviewed before. Thanks for joining, everybody. Let's kick off the show. All right. There we go. So let's get into hard truth. But take a look at this Kentucky Sweet Mash Limited Edition Bourbon. Now, the other 4 are ryes that I reviewed before. And hard truth is in Indiana. So this is a sourced product they're getting from Kentucky. When I hear the words Kentucky Sweet Mash, and I also, if I go down to the bottom here just to get into the other stats, this is BW1 mash bill. We'll get into that in just a second. Barrel number 2, 5 years old, 112 proof. And this was a single barrel from Kroger's, which was a surprising place to find it there. But when I think about Kentucky Sweet Mash, particularly Kentucky Sweet Mash that's lower proof, barrel proof, and 5 years old, that just makes me think of Wilderness Trail. So if I'm going to speculate on the source of this, I would think Wilderness Trail, but I don't know that for a fact or anything. But it would just make sense though, right? Sweet Mash, 5 years old, low proof. It kind of fits. Now, this is Mash Bill BW1. Big Vic got one of these, and it's BW2. So they got different mash bills going around as well, just like they do with the ryes. They got different mash bills on this sourced Kentucky bourbon. Now, I did get this from a Kroger, which is local grocery store in my area. I'm pretty sure most people know Kroger's nowadays. They've bought in so many other brands and everything, but they get sneaky good bottles every now and then. You just walk into a Kroger and you just never know what you're going to find. And this was $55. It's actually cheaper than any of the other hard truths too. So initially what caught my eye was the fact that it had this white cream background rather than like the dark green background. And then Kentucky bourbon made no sense. Sure, I'll buy it. It takes a lot to convince me to buy something these days. But with this one, we're going to break it down in just a second here, but I've had some fun time sitting down with it. So let's get into the tasting and then we'll get into the final scores. We're going to go in the nose and then break down the palate. Cheers, whiskey friends. Thanks for joining so far. So I'm going to go through this tasting again. Based on my notes, the nose was the part that least impressed me. And I'm kind of getting the same vibes here. It's got this dry wood note, almost like a oaked Chardonnay in some ways. And it's got a little bit of that spiced pear too. So once again, that's why I go back to that Chardonnay, oaked Chardonnay kind of a feeling. Uh, the other thing that I get on this one is like a salted bread. Now, it takes me back to a particular Italian restaurant in my area that has this fancy bread basket, but that's just a very subtle smell, right? Like it's soothing to get that fresh bread smell, but there's really not too much to hang your hat on this thing, at least from a nose perspective. All right, let's get into the taste. Cheers, everybody. Mm. Oh, man. So as we break down the palate, at first it is a delicious flavor bomb. I think its initial approach is actually my favorite part of it. Mid palate, it does take its foot off the accelerator a little bit, but then it revs back up into the finish. Let's get into some notes. Hmm. So initially, very, very sweet. Essentially almost ice cream sweetness to it. It's even got a very creamy texture, which lends itself to that ice cream approach. It would even be almost a what do they call it? A Neapolitan ice cream where it's got like the three flavors. Just swap out the strawberry for like a caramel ice cream. So you got the caramel ice cream, the vanilla ice cream, the chocolate ice cream, and then you're getting a good scoop. You're getting a spoon with all three flavors on it. That's essentially what I think of when I think of the flavors that I'm getting up front on this one. Mid palate, the pear comes back. That Chardonnay sensation comes back. There's lots of cinnamon, lots of brown sugar. Even that salted bread is there as well. And there is a slight hint of nuttiness. I'd almost want to call it like it's a very soft flavored nut, like a walnut even. But the flavors do kind of subside a little bit there mid palate, and then they ramp back up into the finish, which I am still tasting right now. Let's go into one final sip and break the finish down. Oh man. So 5 years, there is a decent amount of oakiness there. Still going to go back to that kind of an oaked Chardonnay feel. There is some dark cocoa that comes on the finish, and still has that salted bread sensation. Lots of vanilla, and at the very tail end, if you start waiting now and it still kind of changes a little bit, there's like a little hint of a lemon. I kind of like that. Hmm. All right, one final sip, and then let's get into the final scores. Hmm. So perfectly delightful bourbon there. All right, let's get these scores up. So here on the channel, we do have a scoring system. There's a whole bunch of metrics behind the scenes on this one, but we break things down essentially into flavor, experience, and value. Flavor is just how good did it smell? How good did it taste every step of the way? Experience, that's more of like a technical score about the mouth feel and the length of the finish and the complexity of the flavors. And then value, hey man, am I happy with what I paid for it? This was 55 bucks. You can tell I'm pretty happy about this. This is delicious, man. I'm still getting hit with that wave of lemon right now as I'm talking. It's always the fun part about doing these reviews when these things have a very long finish and I'm sitting here talking for 30 seconds and still trying to process flavors. So for the flavor score, it did lose points on the nose. The nose is just very muted, comparatively too, especially with the flavor punch that it offers in other parts of the experience. So that held it back a little bit, but still very good pour. Experience gave it good marks there too, except everything but the nose. And then value, 55 bucks for this experience, this single barrel. This is delicious. Now, of course, single barrel, so notes and results may vary, but hey, now you know it exists. That's part of the thing here. GI Joe. The more you know. Now, would I recommend this? Yeah, I'm gonna say 9 out of 10 on this one. Uh, I don't know about the distribution on these. That's what I've been trying to look into, and I don't know how much they're gonna be floating around there, how much they're doing the Kentucky bourbon. So I'll go 9 out of 10. But apologies if I get you excited and you can't get your hands on it. But ask around, ask some whiskey friends. Do I plan to buy another? I mean, every single one of these I have enjoyed immensely so far. So, yeah, I'm gonna buy another Hard Truth most likely, and I'm gonna see if I can find one of the BW2s. If they got different mash bills on the bourbons, hey, I'll go check them out. So that was a breakdown of Hard Truth Kentucky Sweet Mash Bourbon, particularly the BW1 mash bill. Let me know if you're seeing these around. Let me know where you are if you are seeing them. curious if they're Kentucky only. And if you can't find these hard truths, man, go back and look at the other reviews. The ryes are awesome as well. I am just really excited about what Hard Truth has to offer. I mean, so far, they've essentially been the brand that has defined my 2023 whiskey experience. I mean, I had bought 5 bottles in 3 months' time. So, I like the truth. And if the bottles keep singing to me, I'll keep singing them back to you through these reviews. So thanks for joining me today, whiskey friends. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye, everybody.
Jeff, just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you say hello again. Oh, Jeffrey, you should just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you say hello again.